Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a quick little comparison between the iPhone 12 and the OnePlus 9 Pro and see which one I guess is the better deal for you. Now, the iPhone 12, is a little bit of a different demographic than the 9 Pro. This is like $1,000 phone, over $1,000, I think. The iPhone 12 is like $800. So if you want to pick up either one of these, links will be down in the description for the cheapest prices that I find on Amazon. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see that the iPhone 12 is the smaller phone in every single dimension. The OnePlus 9 Pro is the bigger phone, more of a flagship, or at least a complete phone in my opinion. But the iPhone 12 has some assets too, even though it's cheaper. The iPhone 12 has that 6.1-inch OLED panel on the front, Super Retina XDR OLED, whatever you're going to call it. And it's a pretty good feeling phone. It's flat sides, so it feels pretty good in the hand. And you still have that notch, but it still really isn't that bad. I think a majority of people already know how this phone holds up. Now, the OnePlus 9 Pro, on the other hand, has that bigger 6.7-inch OLED panel. It's a fluid 2 OLED, whatever they call it. And you can see that it is a little bit different. It does have that hole punch display on the top left corner. So automatically it feels and looks a little bit better. It has a little bit of a curved display, not a massive one, but it's a little curve. And it has the hole punch display, 120 Hz on the panel as well. This panel overall is definitely better than the iPhone 12's panel, but I don't even think it's that far. Like when you look at them over the camera even, the iPhone 12 still looks pretty good. You know what I mean? The OnePlus 9 Pro's panel is good too, but I think the OnePlus 9 Pro automatically wins because of the hole punch display and 120 Hz. But visibly wise, I think the iPhone 12 looks good. I don't know what that means in terms of thinness and thickness. I think the OnePlus 9 Pro is the thicker phone, but the flat sides on the iPhone 12 give it the illusion that it may be thicker than it really is. And on the back, glass backs on both. Quadruple camera setup on the OnePlus 9 Pro, dual camera setup on the iPhone 12, wireless charging on both. The OnePlus 9 Pro does have reverse wireless charging, which is pretty cool, but that really pretty much covers it up in terms of the outside. Both have IP certification, and I think I've said this before, but pretty much in my opinion, the more complete flagship feeling phone and looking phone is definitely the OnePlus 9 Pro. This phone still looks futuristic. The iPhone 12 still looks dated, and that's a bigger problem with Apple than anything else. I really wish they improved the overall, just like the feature ability and all those things. When you look at this phone, you look at this one definitely looks far better. But I think one of the bigger, assets for the iPhone 12 and why I would probably rather recommend an iPhone 12 over a OnePlus 9 Pro to most people is the software. You are definitely going to be getting a longer lasting phone from something like an iPhone 12 on stock software than the OnePlus 9 Pro. Now, the iPhone 12, if you get it today or even if you get it until next year, this phone is going to last you for many, many years. We're talking like 5 to 6 years easy. So you can still buy this phone like 3 years from now and probably only be halfway through its software life cycle. And that is a massive thing that you have with this phone. With other devices, you don't really have that type of capability, but from Apple, you have that type of software compatibility, which is really cool. On the flip side though, with the OnePlus 9 Pro, this is like the iPhones of Androids. You're getting very stock software. As you can see, there really isn't anything super crazy. I mean, it's very stock. You can go into any app. The fluidity of it is very beautiful. Like, there's not a lot of bloatware, if any at all. But the bigger thing to keep in mind is that even though this is stock and this is going to get updates for a long amount of time, the iPhone 12 is probably still going to outlast it, which is a massive thing for the iPhone 12 at a cheaper price tag than on the OnePlus 9 Pro. So this doesn't make the OnePlus 9 Pro any worse of a phone. This is still a very long-lasting phone for an Android device, but the iPhone 12 is definitely going to take the cake here. But the 9 Pro does, kind of dominate in one specific area, and that is the battery life and the battery life features. So you're getting like a 2800 mAh battery on the iPhone 12. You're getting around a 4500 mAh battery in the 9 Pro. And let alone the battery sizes, you're getting reverse wireless charging on the OnePlus 9 Pro, which I think is a very cool feature. You don't have that on the iPhone 12. I think it's probably going to end up coming with the next iPhone, but you automatically have that type of feature on the OnePlus 9 Pro, making this a much better deal in my opinion. So take it as you will, but that is a massive thing from what I've seen. And I think that pretty much covers up in one of the better areas for the iPhone 12 and the 9 Pro as well. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 12 has that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 GB of RAM, where the OnePlus 9 Pro has that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset inside of it with 8 gigs of RAM on the base model and 12 gigs of RAM on the top tier model. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between both of these. Okay, now that we're back, all the apps are cleared out in the background as you guys can see. Let's get started. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And you can see pretty much the same thing. Hopping out of this one, let's do their app stores, 3, 2, 1. And again, the 9 Pros, for some reason, these Android devices are so fast at loading up their actual app stores. Scrolling through, you guys can see the 9 Pro is the faster one overall. The iPhone 12 I think is very smooth too. I think the iPhone 12 is smoother, but the OnePlus 9 Pro may be just faster to kind of scroll through. Hopping out of this one, let's do their cameras. 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhones are always faster loading up the cameras for some reason. Hopping out of this one, let's go ahead and do all these third-party apps that I always have. Let's go ahead and do BOFA, I guess. 3, 2, 1. And you can see the 9 Pro, I just saw that was going to be faster. The iPhone 12 was a little bit behind. Hopping out of this one, let's do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And actually, I don't know which one's going to be faster. And you can see the 9 Pro is just slightly faster. Actually, it was a little bit ahead. I was expecting the iPhone 12 not to be this far behind, but the 9 Pro definitely was the far faster one there. Hopping out of this one, let's get into some gameplay with this specific app. And let's see if there's going to be that big of a difference. I don't know if there's going to be honest. But there could be. Let's go ahead and see. And it looks to be about the same. I mean, this is a very basic game. Who am I kidding? Let's go ahead and do something like Dropbox 3, 2, 1. And you can see, I think the 9 Pro is a little bit faster. Quizlet 3, 2, 1. And I think the 9 Pro again was a little bit faster there. Let's go ahead and do Thank You 3, 2, 1. And you can see the OnePlus 9 Pro was faster there. The iPhone 12 was a little bit behind. Gameplay wise, you can see, I think about the same. If I'm just kind of like going through like this, you can see they were about the same. Hopping out of this one, let's do Stack, which I do not have here. Netflix, which I do have 3, 2, 1. 9 Pro again was faster. iPhone 12 a little bit behind. Snake versus Blocks 3, 2, 1. And you can see the OnePlus 9 Pro was faster. iPhone 12 a little bit behind here. Getting into some gameplay. Again, you can see they're going to be roughly around the same. These are pretty basic games for the most part, which is good. Hopping out of this one, let's go ahead and do Fruit Ninja. 3, 2, 1. And I'm probably going to say, yeah, the 9 Pro is going to be faster. The iPhone 12 was a little bit behind. And this is a pretty basic game, so we can see which one's going to be the faster one overall. So I think to kind of sum it up, I think the OnePlus 9 Pro is probably the faster phone when it came down to it. And I don't think that's really saying much, to be honest, because the iPhone 12 was right behind it in almost every single one. You know, almost every single time, the iPhone 12 was just like right behind it. Now, is it that crazy of a difference? Not really. Like, if I had an iPhone 12, I wouldn't go to a OnePlus 9 Pro because of the performance jump. I kind of see the same thing going on for both of them. So I think that's a pretty, not even in like a strong statement. I think that's a pretty basic thing. You can see RAM management has been about the same on both devices too, going back to the beginning. If I go to something like their app stores, there may be a little bit of a bigger difference. I don't know what happened to this specific app store, but Temple Run 2, let's see. I mean, yeah, I think RAM management is going to be about the same. So OnePlus 9 Pro is faster, but the iPhone 12 was right behind it in so many different apps. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. Let's go ahead on the cameras. Now, as I mentioned before, the iPhone 12 has that dual camera setup. The OnePlus 9 Pro has that quadruple camera setup, wide and ultra wide on the iPhone 12, wide, ultra wide telephoto, and a color filter camera on the OnePlus 9 Pro. And I mean, I've said this time and time again, the iPhone 12 has a very good, solid camera. Even though it's only a dual camera setup compared to the quad camera on the OnePlus 9 Pro, I think this overall camera setup is probably better. A huge advantage point that you have on the iPhone 12 is that you can do 4K 60 on the back, which is normal, but you can still do 4K 60 on the front of the iPhone 12. The OnePlus 9 Pro can do 8K on the back, but only 1080p at 30 on the front camera. Makes absolutely no sense to me either. I don't know why OnePlus did it, but definitely when it comes down to this camera, this is a solid camera. In apps, you know, like Snapchat, Instagram, this camera is also killing it there too. So this is a very solid sensor on both the front and the back of this phone. Now on the OnePlus 9 Pro, I've also said this, you know, for the last couple comparisons I've done, this is a very solid camera. The colors are popping. It's very good. You know, OnePlus, as I mentioned before, spent a lot of money on this camera. Now, I think the bigger problem with this specific phone is that only 1080p at 30 on the front. Again, I think that's like something that's like a no-brainer why OnePlus did that. They should have done at least like 4K at 30. I don't know what they were thinking with this, but you can do 8K on the back, which I think is cool. You have that telephoto lens, which is awesome. You have the ultra-wide sensor as well, which is really cool, so you can zoom out a lot. And I think overall, you know, the OnePlus 9 Pro's back camera is better, but the iPhone 12's front camera is better, you know, so you have to kind of pick and choose here. I like the capability of, you know, choosing a bunch of different, you know, lenses you can choose from in 8K and stuff, but as I mentioned, I think the iPhone 12 wins in the overall camera department. So to kind of sum up my video and to answer the question, should you go and buy an iPhone 12 or should you buy a OnePlus 9 Pro? Well, this is pretty much what I'll tell you. I think the OnePlus 9 Pro over here is probably the more flagship type of phone, as I mentioned before. When I think of a flagship, I think of a OnePlus 9 Pro. This device, I think, has more capability. You know, you have the 120 hertz, 8K on the back, reverse wireless charging, and obviously no notch. This is a more premium feeling flagship type of device. That doesn't mean it's like the perfect device overall, because there's a lot of flakes that I don't like about this thing. No 4K on the front. And I think it has the same battery size as the OnePlus 7, which is annoying. It should have a bigger battery size because it's a little bit of a bigger phone. But I think when it comes down to it, this is a solid phone, and it's probably worth the money up going from an iPhone 12 to the OnePlus 9 Pro. But I will tell you, for the price tag that this phone is, and it's already been out for a couple months, so it's even cheaper than what it is in the used market, this is a almost perfect phone, to be honest. My only downside with this device is probably the RAM management early on. It was a little weird. Now it's kind of gotten better with software updates, and also the battery life. I feel like it's a downgrade from the iPhone 11, but between these two phones, this is probably the better bang for your dollar. This is a very solid phone, and it's almost like a neck and neck with the OnePlus 9 Pro, as you guys saw. These two phones were right next to each other in so many different categories. The front camera on the iPhone 12 is better. You're getting a much better 4K 60 on the front here. That's pretty cool. You're getting still a very good screen, longer software availability on the iPhone 12, and this phone was only slightly slower than the OnePlus 9 Pro. And I think that's pretty much the main stuff. I mean, I think if I had to choose one, again, the OnePlus 9 Pro is the more of a phone that's like a flagship type of device, but the iPhone 12 seems to me that it's the more stable and well-rounded device overall. So take it as you will, but that's pretty much how I'd sum it up. If you guys want to pick up either one of these phones, like I mentioned before, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys get hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.